I believe that Sadhguru is not a real guru. Many of his actions and the things that he says show that he's not a real guru. Guru basically means not only someone who brings light to darkness, but also someone who truly understands the world we're living in or the experience that we're having. I had a spiritual awakening through Muji, whose teacher was Papaji, whose teacher was Ramana Maharshi. I also studied Sri Nisargadatta, and I studied non-duality in general. First comes, of course, the realization of not being the thoughts. But there's also, if you work a lot with the energy body, there is also an understanding of the subtle energies that run through the body. And every yogi knows that the balance of Ida and Pingala is the primary driver of health. And Sadhguru knew that he was overextending his body, that he was stressed. And still he didn't do anything about it. He didn't slow down. And thereby he ended up in the hospital. And he said he already knew months before that he was stressed, that he didn't feel, and the body was giving him signals. Even the doctor already said, don't do this, you need to rest. And he said, no, I'm just gonna go and do this. And one part of being guru is really understanding the body and the energies in the body, and knowing exactly when it's time for the body to rest. The second thing is that he is a regular at the World Economic Forum. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the World Economic Forum, except those are basically a certain set of individuals that have this illusion of being able to control the whole world through their money and through their influence and power. Then, the third part is the jabs. Sadhguru was a proponent of using jabs on the population. Then there come many other things. There is a video where it is said that most of his Isha Foundation yoga program is actually stolen from Siddha Samadhi Yoga. Or Siddhi Samadhi Yoga, Siddha Samadhi Yoga. I think it's Siddha Samadhi Yoga. And you cannot make a case for both things. You cannot say on one hand that he is spiritually awakened or spiritually enlightened and at the same time doing all of these things. I think that he has become very flashy. He has understood to market himself. And I'm sure Isha Foundation with yoga helps many people, absolutely, no questions. And I'm 100% sure that he has knowledge which the average person doesn't have. But I think he's far from being a guru. I understand that he holds this kind of position where he says he's sacrificing his own body for the good of others. But that makes sense if he's, when he was consecrating his center, spiritual center, but not when the body is screaming for just, a bunch of talks that he's doing in front of people, when the body is screaming stop. And he cannot see what's coming in that sense. Now, everybody gets sick. Sooner or later, everybody dies. But you just have to understand the nuances of your own body, understanding the energies, when it's time to give it a little bit of rest, to center yourself, in order then to continue the work. And I gave just like logical reasons why I don't see him being a guru. But I also never saw him personally as really deeply spiritually awakened, and definitely not enlightened, no questions. Now, he can say funny things. He can say, for example, yeah, well, everybody wants to be Ramana Maharshi, but when mosquitoes come, you're the first one to react strongly to the mosquitoes instead of letting them be. But I don't think life is about, how you react on so-called Maya. I think life is about realizing that this Maya is a game, it's a play. And you move through that play by heart intuition, but also understanding your body. And especially having not only the intuition and foresight, and also the balls to call things out when they're not right. And I think that he was so popular, or he is so popular, that he understood that politically he had to say certain things. And that for me is not a guru. A guru is, he will say whatever is necessary even if it means that he's risking his own life. Or he just stays quiet, that's fine as well. But promoting something that later turns out to be a huge problem is, in my view, not guru. And I know a lot of people think this way. I know he has a huge fan base, and I'm going to get hate for that as well. But I also know that there's many people who agree with what I'm saying, especially those people who are a little bit more informed. And the thing is also, you have a tremendous amount of options in terms of spiritual teachers. And I'm sure that there's health benefits to when you visit Isha Foundation, but do not call him a guru. And it's kind of almost even telling that he calls himself Sadhguru. It's almost like I need to call myself a marketable guru term. You know what I mean? It's become very common to use this name because it's a brand, basically. But if you really look at it, like, who calls himself Sadhguru? So I think that's also very telling. And I would be most interested which gurus you like or which you follow or which you recommend, because I would like to read up on them and look who they are and learn from them. So just put in the comments, put your favorite gurus or spiritual teachers. Mine are Muji, Papaji, Ramana Maharshi, Eckhart Tolle, Sri Nisargadatta, Ganga Mira, of course, but she's the widow of Papaji, who I visited twice. I visited Muji when he was visiting Italy. And I'm thinking of another that I really like. I think those are the main ones. And I do understand that Rupert Spira in England, he's also a good guru, I think. Or a spiritual teacher, not guru, sorry. Because I do make a distinction. Guru for me is someone who really understands everything very deeply, kind of like really can guide the person in a very special way without needing any of the ego stuff like theatrics, drama, too much attention, wrong decisions, and so forth.